And now for our next news special report.
Tonight we're peeling back the layers of a story that hits close to home, literally. Imagine stepping into your favorite coffee shop where the only thing you expect to pick up was your morning latte. Now picture that same shop as a covert node in a sprawling government surveillance network. Sounds like a plot from a Cold War spy novel, right? Wrong. This is the reality that we're uncovering tonight. A proposed bill, wrapped in the cloak of reform, threatens to turn local businesses into unwilling participants in a surveillance state. This is not just about privacy, it's about fundamental American liberties. As we delve into the details, stick around for our final thought of something every American needs to hear. You do not want to miss this. Now, before we dive deeper, a quick word from our supporters at the Patriot Gold Group. In times like these, where uncertainty looms over our privacy and economic stability, it's crucial to stay prepared. Gold's meteoric rise, mirroring the chaotic 70s, signals a turbulent economy. Our national debt is ballooning, just like the threats to our personal freedoms. Patriot Gold Group offers a beacon of stability, and they're offering a no-fee-for-life IRA where your IRA or 401k can be backed by physical gold and silver. Call the number on the screen, 888-857-9437, and get your free investor guide. Their top-rated service is your shield in these unpredictable times. Remember, staying informed and prepared is your best defense. So call 888-857-9437 after this report. Now, in today's report, we're tackling a subject that should concern every freedom-loving American. It's about your privacy. It's about your rights, and how a seemingly benign bill could transform everyday locations like your local coffee shop into a surveillance outpost for the government. The crux of this issue lies in the proposed reform of Section 702, a piece of legislation that's stirring up a storm of controversy. Experts like Elizabeth Godian and Representative Andy Biggs have raised alarm bells about its implications. And what does this mean for you? Well, simply put, the bill could compel any entity with access to communication transmitting equipment, your coffee shops, your libraries, even your Wi-Fi in your home, to aid government surveillance efforts. Yeah. Now, currently, the law targets entities directly handling communications like phone and email service providers. However, the new bill, specifically Section 504, expands this scope alarmingly. Now, any establishment with equipment capable of transmitting or storing communications could fall under its purview. This isn't just an expansion, it's a paradigm shift in surveillance. Imagine sitting in your favorite cafe, sipping a latte, unaware that the router in the corner is part of a government spy network. Well, Goiten's insights paint a disturbing picture. Places offering Wi-Fi, like hotels and coffee shops, might soon be mandated to serve as de facto government surveillance agents. And it's not just public spaces. Even a Wi-Fi repair person in your home could be roped into this network. This bill marks a shift from targeted surveillance to a broad sweeping approach ensnaring innocent citizens in its net. And Representative Andy Biggs' testimony today at the House Rules Committee hearing underscores these concerns. He highlights the broad impact of the bill, emphasizing how it includes not just large corporations, but also small and medium-sized businesses. From data centers to your local coffee shop, the bill imposes new legal obligations to facilitate government surveillance. Watch.
So right now you have big companies like Google, Facebook, Meta, Microsoft, and telecom giants like T-Mobile, AT&T, and Verizon. They're swept up in Section 702 because they have that equipment, that category. They fit the definition. Those communications to telecom companies already get foreign data about foreign people to the feds. But of course, Americans get incidentally caught up in that. But the FRRA expansion, which includes equipment, would cover small and medium-sized businesses that store data or provide Wi-Fi, a business landlord, Airbnb host, coffee shops, the airport where you go and you sign in. They would all have now a legal obligation because they'd been to reconfigure their gear to give to government emails, texts, or phone metadata, or they're going to have to stop offering those services. Big data centers as well will also have legal obligations to supply the government. Some analysts have called this, as I've referenced in one piece, a Trojan horse.
The bill's sponsors might deny the broad implications of Section 504, but actions speak louder than words. The lack of transparency and the government's history of interpreting laws to their broadest extent casts a shadow of doubt over their intentions. Biggs also points out the disinformation campaign surrounding this bill, highlighting the intelligence community's attempts to mislead and exert undue influence over Congress. This raises serious questions about the integrity and transparency of the legislative process. Watch.
But the FBI and intelligence agencies have tried to scare Congress. They're trying to convince, who runs a better disinformation campaign than the intelligence community? And they're running one on this bill. They are trying to dissuade people and misrepresent what this bill does.
You know, Brian, play that clip again, because what he's saying right there is so strong. I need to hear it again.
But the FBI and intelligence agencies have tried to scare Congress. They're trying to convince, who runs a better disinformation campaign than the intelligence community? And they're running one on this bill. They are trying to dissuade people and misrepresent what this bill does.
The intelligence agencies are running a disinformation campaign on this very bill. Okay? Representative Andy Biggs. Now, the government's track record with surveillance laws is far from reassuring. Goyton reminds us that the law's wording allows for broad interpretation, often leading to overreach. Biggs echoes this sentiment, recalling past abuses of surveillance authority and the recent findings of systemic non-compliance within the FBI. Biggs' recount of the FBI's intrusive surveillance tactics, including improper searches and queries of U.S. citizens, paints a very troubling picture. It's a stark reminder of the need for stringent checks and balances in our surveillance laws. Watch this.
FISA was enacted in 1979 in response to the revelation that the federal government had seriously abused its intelligence authorities and violated Americans' civil liberties through warrantless surveillances. Unfortunately, the federal government has similarly abused FISA and continues to use its broad powers to improperly spy on American citizens. Whether it was FBI Director Wray telling Congress that we should not, quote, lose any sleep over FISA applications, or former Director Comey calling FISA a top-tier FBI program, the government has insisted that we should not worry about warrantless surveillance. However, as we've seen in recent years, the intelligence community and the FBI have repeatedly fallen short of respecting the civil liberties of Americans. Department of Justice Inspector General Michael Horowitz has released several reports showing how the FBI violated its authorities and improperly spied on Americans. Inspector General Horowitz's audits investigations found that the FBI was plagued by, quote, systemic noncompliance, close quote, with its internal procedures designed to ensure accuracy. Special Counsel John Durham released a report earlier this year on the FBI's Crossfire Hurricane investigation, where he not only bolstered IG Horowitz's findings, but also found that political and confirmation bias led the FBI to actually lie to the FISC court in order to improperly spy on the Trump campaign. So when I say FISC, that's referring to FISA court. The government has taken a tool designed to collect foreign intelligence and prevent terrorist attacks and has used it as a domestic spy apparatus. In 2021, the FBI queried the communications of more than 3.3 million U.S. persons. They queried more than 3.3 million U.S. persons. In 2022, the FBI was still conducting hundreds of U.S. persons' queries per day. A recent FISA court opinion revealed that in recent years, the FBI conducted more than 278,000 improper searches of U.S. persons' communications. The FBI improperly queried a member of the House, a United States senator, a state senator, and a state judge, all without following their own internal proper procedures. The FBI searched the communications of more than 19,000 donors to a congressional campaign. Why? The FBI stated reason was that they wanted to know if the donors were being influenced by foreign adversaries. And on that point, I will come back to that point, and I want you to remember that rationale. We have to look at the U.S. persons illegally because we want to determine whether they were influenced by foreign adversaries.
In face of these alarming revelations, Goitin advocates for public action. She supports the Protect Liberty and End Warrantless Surveillance Act as a more balanced alternative, urging citizens to voice their concerns to their representatives. Similarly, Biggs champions enhanced transparency measures and accountability for those violating civil liberties. His criticism of Section 504 of the proposed bill for its potential to infringe upon the rights of everyday Americans is a call to action for more prudent, rights-respecting legislation. Watch.
This bill, the Protect Liberty and End Warrantless Surveillance Act, ensures that the intelligence community can continue to collect foreign intelligence information and keep Americans free from harm while enacting necessary reforms to protect Americans from warrantless surveillance. This bill requires all intelligence agencies and the FBI to obtain a warrant from the FISC before conducting a query of a U.S. person. This warrant requirement includes exceptions for emergency situations when the subject of a query consents to the search or when defending against a cybersecurity attack. The bill significantly reduces the number of FBI personnel authorized to conduct search queries. That's something that both HPSI and Judiciary agreed on. This bill requires surveillance applications to include robust accuracy procedures, expands the ability of amici curiae to participate in proceedings at the FISC, and allows certain members of Congress to attend FISC proceedings, increasing Congress's oversight over the court. The other bill does not do those things. This bill is designed to protect Americans' rights and allow for our intelligence community to gather data from foreign adversaries in a timely fashion. We've provided exceptions. We've provided exceptions there to the warrant requirement. This bill also includes enhanced transparency measures and ensures that those who violate the civil liberties of Americans will be held accountable for their actions. We agreed with HPSI on the penalties, both criminal and civil. But I will tell you that in the very first provision, Section 101 of the HPSI bill, you negate all of those punitive protections. Why? Because you have put, and in Section 504 as well of their bill, you have put so many, expanded the ability to search so many people and query so many people that nobody was going to be subject to these penalties. Let's give you an example. In Section 101, which is kind of the keynote of what they're doing, of their bill, they say they're going to get rid of the criminal-only searches. Well, out of 200,000 searches they did last year, do you know how many fit that rubric? 2. That's not a reform. That's merely window dressing to suggest that they're doing something. Our bill also closes the data broker loophole to ensure that the government cannot make an end run around the Fourth Amendment to purchase the data of Americans. That passed out of Judiciary unanimously. Unanimously. And quite frankly, Section 504 attacks that provision as well. Section 504 of the other bill, that attacks that bill. Why? Because what they're doing under Section 504 is they're basically saying, we're going to now, instead of working with these major big companies like that have the ability, they have the software and all of the communications equipment, we're going to expand that. And by their expansion, what that does is it says, you broaden it so greatly that if you're a small business or a medium-sized business, you're going to, if you're the Starbucks that offers Wi-Fi, you're going to have to either stop offering Wi-Fi or reconfigure your system so you can provide to the federal government our data.
This debate isn't just about privacy. It's a fundamental question about the balance between national security and individual freedoms. The insight from Goitin and Biggs reveal a complex narrative of potential overreach and the need for accountability in surveillance legislation. As we navigate this intricate landscape, one thing is clear: vigilance is crucial. The path forward must carefully weigh both security needs and the preservation of civil liberties. In a crucial update this morning, House Speaker Mike Johnson highlighted the urgency and complexity of reforming the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act, particularly Section 702. He acknowledged its key role in national security, but stressed the need for dramatic reform due to its past abuses, citing significant FBI queries on American citizens. Facing conflicting opinions from key committees, Johnson announced a short-term extension of Section 702 with the defense spending bill, emphasizing the need for careful consideration to balance safety with civil liberties. To fully grasp the gravity of his statement and the ongoing debate, here are the Speaker's remarks.
Kind of delve into your thought process going through that. You changed your mind multiple times on exactly whether it be a short-term extension or not, and you changed your mind yesterday on Queen of the Hill situation. Can you just walk us through how that thought process?
I didn't change my mind on FISA. See, FISA is a very important piece of legislation, and Section 702, which would expire at the end of the year, is a really, really important provision because it protects us on the homeland. It protects us from terrorist attacks. It's the tool that we use to uncover those plots when they're being planned, and it's been very, very effective in that measure. And that's why you have conservatives and liberals, progressives, who agree that it's a really important tool. What we all also agree on is that it must be dramatically reformed because it's been abused 287,000 times, I think, between 2020 and 2021. The FBI did queries on American citizens in violation of that law and our basic civil liberties. So we have this very important matter to determine and resolve, and you have lots of different opinions on where that is. We have two committees of jurisdiction, Judiciary and the Intelligence Committee, who have worked up different measures, different bills. We've only had the text of those for 4 or 5 days, something like that, about a week, and here we are near the end of the deadline. Now, as soon as I became Speaker, we knew the deadline was coming, and I brought those committees together. They were working from a working group, a task force that was put forward by 3 members of both committees that worked for about 6 months. Y'all may have seen, I think you have, they came up with about 45 reforms that would resolve all of these issues, but about 4 or 5 of those key reforms, there's a disagreement between the 2 committees. We're working towards consensus, but this is a very, very serious matter. This isn't some minor policy in our law. This is about keeping Americans safe, and so we take the responsibility seriously. As recently as last night, we were in a room with all the interested parties and House Republicans there, and there's still some disagreement about a couple of those key provisions. So I am not one who wants to rush this. I don't think we can make a mistake in this. I think we've got to do it right, and so we're going to allow the time to do that. So having a short-term extension on the NDAA allows us the time to work not only in our own chamber, but with the other chamber as well, to come forward with a compromise provision that will not only keep us safe, but will also safeguard our civil liberties. Both of those objectives must be achieved, and that's why it's taken a long time. Again, as I said at the outset, and I'll close with this, democracy is messy sometimes, but we have to get it right. We're the greatest delivery body in the world, and we're going to do our job and do it well. Sometimes it takes more time than we would like, but it's worth it to get it right, especially on a product as important as FISA. So that's that.
If you got value from this report, tap subscribe. Remember, staying informed is your first line of defense in protecting your freedoms. As we close tonight's report, it's vital to grasp the true stakes at play. The Section 702 reform bill isn't about reform. It's a veil for granting the government even broader powers to surveil Americans in the most ordinary places, like while they're sipping coffee and surfing the web at Starbucks. This isn't just a violation of privacy, it's a fundamental assault on our liberties as citizens of this republic. I urge you as viewers and patriots to take a stand. Contact your representatives and tell them to oppose the Section 702 reform bill. Instead, support the Protect Liberty and End Warrantless Surveillance Act. This isn't about politics. It's about protecting the bedrock of our freedom. The government's reach into our daily lives must have limits. We cannot sit idly by while our rights are eroded under the guise of reform. It's time to make our voices heard for our privacy and for our liberty and for America.
Congratulations, you made it to the end of the video. Now keep up your quest for truth with this next news report. And if you found our channel enlightening, join the millions who agree with you. Tap subscribe. Thank you for watching the Next News Network.